Today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer boosts hopes for new crypto regulation as Democrats court crypto voters. The SEC gives the go-ahead to an ETF that promises a 175% daily return on MicroStrategy stock, and Sylvia Jablonski of Defiance ETFs explains where crypto prices could be headed after recent volatility. Crypto prices are mixed this morning after new economic data shows that the U.S. consumer remains strong. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin ticked higher, but still traded at $59,000. At the same time, Ether dipped 0.25% to 26.68. Meanwhile, Matic rose more than 1% to 42 cents. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Big-name Democrats courted crypto voters in a Crypto for Harris Zoom call hosted by the Crypto Council for Innovation. Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Debbie Stabenow were on the call, along with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, he made waves when he said that he believes the Senate can realistically pass a bipartisan crypto regulation bill before the end of the year. Schumer said, quote, passing legislation this year is absolutely possible even in these divided times, and added that his goal is to bring together senators on both sides of the aisle to pass sensible legislation. But Schumer didn't indicate which bills he would support specifically. The Crypto for Harris call mimicked several other Zoom meetings that have raked in millions of dollars for Dems since Vice President Harris announced her intention to win the party's nomination. Now, also joining the call were Senate candidates Congresswoman Elisa Slotkin, who's looking to replace the retiring Senator Stabenow, and then Congressman Adam Schiff, looking to win the seat in California. Next, the SEC has approved a leveraged MicroStrategy ETF. MSTX hit U.S. markets on Thursday morning, and the fund tracks the returns of MicroStrategy's daily performance. And because MicroStrategy is a major holder of Bitcoin, it also tracks the performance of Bitcoin too. Leveraged ETFs seek to amplify the performance of assets by using debt, and MSTX hopes to provide a 175% return on MicroStrategy's performance. Now, for our main story, Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke to Sylvia Jablonski of Defiance ETFs, the firm behind the leveraged MicroStrategy ETF. They talked about the new fund, and Sylvia also weighs in on where crypto markets could be headed.
Exciting news about MSTX. I want to know why Defiance decided to launch this fund and why now?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Great to be here. It's exciting news for the crypto world, I would say, and it's a plain old stock, right? It's not a coin. It's not a token. It's just a plain old stock that trades on on an exchange. And so the reason that we launched it is because MicroStrategy is essentially this dual opportunity to get exposure to both the AI trade. They have business intelligence tools, data analytics. They're part of the AI world and innovation and really, benefiting from that. But they also have a massive holding in Bitcoin, and it's become a Bitcoin proxy. Michael Saylor is one of the big kind of prophets and advocates of Bitcoin out there. And I think that people trade his stock because he invests most of his cash in Bitcoin. So that's kind of reason number one. We thought the good, kind of like dual partnership between AI and Bitcoin was cool and didn't exist out there. But the bigger thing is, if you look back at the performance, we've been watching this for a long time and really wanted to be sure that we were, seeing it right. If you look historically at, Bitcoin, or even just like this year, right, at the difference between Bitcoin, the leveraged Bitcoin ETFs, the single, beta, Bitcoin ETFs versus MicroStrategy, it's outperforming most of them by 3 times or more. So, for example, some of the single beta Bitcoin ETFs are up, 20 to 30%, and MicroStrategy is up about 100% year to date. And so, it has this weird, relationship with Bitcoin where it seems to both track in terms of it's up when Bitcoin's up and kind of down when Bitcoin's down, but also outperform. So we just thought it would be great to lever that up and give investors the opportunity to have a different way of getting at Bitcoin.
And can you say why you do see those outsized returns? Like mechanically, what is going on there? And, that would make somebody want to buy MicroStrategy over Bitcoin for the bigger returns, even though they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the, additional propelling of, it's almost like the Elon, he's got like the Elon Musk effect, right? A lot of people love Tesla because of Elon Musk. So I think you get some, Michael Saylor type of effect. I think you get the AI trade, right? So it's definitely competing in the world of NVIDIA, AMD, Taiwan Semiconductors, all the different semiconductor stocks and chip companies and visual AI analytic tech types of companies are performing really well this year because of that. So I think it gets a little bit of extra special sauce on top of what crypto does.
So who is this designed for, and who do you think will be coming to this fund? And is it safe to assume it's like a retail day trader type? I mean, there are so many different reasons and ways now for people to invest in Bitcoin, and people do get pretty philosophical about it. So who is this fund for?
Yeah, they sure do. And I think it's for all of those people, right? So I think the short-term tactical trader is oftentimes the most common type of investor in these funds. They're looking, they might not necessarily only hold it for a day, but they're making a decision every single day as to whether or not to hold it for the next day. So, levered and inverse ETFs work really well in trending markets. You might have, substantial losses in kind of range-bound volatile markets. And so it's important for investors who trade levered and inverse ETFs to understand how they work. But over time, we've also seen, the VIX has fallen back under 20 again. And it's we only had a couple of days where it actually spiked up and was doing anything meaningful. And so for years now, we've had very low volatility in the markets. And so when investors have conviction and they believe that, a particular stock or index is going to go upward with low volatility, a lot of times they will hold a levered ETF for a longer period of time. But, we always put that disclaimer out there. You should make that decision daily, monitor your positions, and understand the risks, right? Volatility can come back tomorrow.
So we've got all these ETFs on the market, and we've seen the track record between Bitcoin itself and MicroStrategy. What's going on more broadly in the market? And this ultimately gets back to what Bitcoin and MicroStrategy are going to be doing for the rest of the year. What is at play right now?
I think, that Monday that, brought shock and awe into
that
market,
Monday.
that Monday that came after that Friday with the jobs number, right? I think a lot of investors became a little bit spooked and started selling. You had, that coupled with the Japan carry trade, which kind of, offset some of the trading volumes for a couple of days too. And so I think now that we're past that, we're back to seeing that nothing has fundamentally changed in the last week or so. And, there are events that can always come out of left field, but overall, the jobs numbers are kind of back to, few, it's okay kind of levels. The CPI readings were good, almost better than expected in some cases, so we're good on CPI, we're good on PPI. The consumer is slowing a little bit, but still spending sentiment is decent. And we're about to go into rate cuts. So I think that all of this is supportive for the market. This is that funky August, September period where, kind of anything goes, tends to be a bad time for markets. But I think that, at least in the near term, earnings are holding up, the data's holding up. I think we have that soft landing. We'll see what happens after the election in 2025, but I think we're okay for now. And so that bodes well for risk assets like MicroStrategy and Bitcoin.
And yeah, so seasonally, this is kind of a sleepy period. We expect, September to not be so great, and then things tend to get better for the rest of the year. You mentioned the election, and we do have that. How much of a catalyst, or how strong of a catalyst do you see that in this middle period between now and November? Obviously, when Trump came out and made all of his big overtures about it, that was a very those were very market moving comments that he was making. And of course, we don't really know much about Harris's stance on crypto, but in terms of the in between period, is there any part of that theme that you would be watching closely as a market mover before, we actually get the result in November?
Yeah, I don't know how much the election is actually, going to impact crypto, but I do think that there will be this kind of positive momentum sentiment type of trade that comes out if it seems as though, Trump is really running on that platform and he continues to support it and he gets elected. I think you get some momentum around that. Whether or not that actually changes the overall value or growth trajectory of Bitcoin in the long term, I don't know. But I do think if you get that, Republican nod there, you'll probably see crypto prices start to rally around the election. On the other hand, if Vice President Harris comes in and starts, tooting the crypto horn, then it might do well either way.
Sure. And then in terms of, a big break to the upside, when are you expecting to see that? Because we have characterized this market as a choppy period, and that sideways chop could continue for some time. When do you expect to see a meaningful break upward?
Yeah, I think when we get out of this seasonality type of situation, we get that first rate cut in September, October, November could be interesting for crypto. You might start to see. And I would say for the NASDAQ too, right? I'm just expecting risk assets to kind of hold up into year end, and crypto should really participate in that. And, based on what you and I were just talking about, if you get that little tailwind from the election, that'll probably give a little, sense of an assistance for a breakout anyway in the short term.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.